Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to take a look at a Stage 1 box deck that I've been working on. This archetype was something that, popped up now and again, and it was a pretty good archetype, but obviously it was a single prize archetype, and well, it was kind of missing a couple of things. Obviously it was missing a grass attacker, and there wasn't really many good psychic attackers for it either. But obviously, as time's gone on, we've obviously gotten not only psychic attackers that could go in this list, but I'm not running it because the BEM sucks, but we've recently gotten a new Stage 1 grass attacker, which is actually pretty good thanks to Phantasmal Flames. So as per usual, in the description below, there's going to be usual links. There will be the deck list, which is also available to copy in the description below. There's the games that we'll play, and the outro and what I think of the deck. So the new card that we're playing today is the Lokix from Phantasmal Flames. Now, of course, the jumping shot does do 150, which is a pretty relevant number to be hitting, but it does actually fall short of our Grass Week matchups. Obviously, jumping shot also shuffles this Pokemon and all attached cards into your deck. So that means the Nymble, the Lokix, and the Ignition Energy, which is also useful, goes back into the deck. Now, of course, that's very useful, but of course, you do need a second Nymble in case of multiple Grass Week opponents. But obviously, we do play a 2-2 line, so that is entirely easy to do. But the Lokix is a really good upgrade for this deck, because obviously we can play the likes of Brave Bangle to obviously improve our damage to 180 against EXs, and that is a really solid number to be hitting. 360 takes out anything that, is grass wheat, like Charizard EX, obviously Marnie's Grimmsnarl, things like that, and that makes this card really dangerous in this deck. Obviously, we also have the Scizor, which isn't really here for type coverage, although Metal is starting to become a bit more relevant. Obviously, against things like Mega Diancie. Obviously, eventually, it will be the Mega Frostlass when that comes out. But Scizor is just really good to have because of punishing Scissors. This attack does 50 more damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon in play that has an ability. So if your opponent has pretty much nothing but abilities, this single prizer for just 1 energy is hitting 310. That is pretty good. But of course, it's not all just about those two guys. We are playing a 1-1 line of the Ceruledge. Obviously, I've chosen the Psychic Ceruledge because of its fighting sword attack. If your opponent's active Pokemon is a Pokemon EX or Pokemon V, this attack does 100 more damage, which is actually pretty good. Obviously, that deals with the likes of Lucario and other Psychic weak Pokemon that we may encounter. But this is mainly here as a tech for Lucario, so it's from Paldea Evolved. Obviously, this will rotate soon. There is a BEM, but the BEM is kind of terrible. So, hence why I've decided to go with the Ceruledge route. Obviously, the only realistic way we're powering this guy up is with Reversal Energy. So, we do need to let our opponent go ahead on prizes, which this deck can comfortably do. We're also playing a 1-1 line of the Sizzlipede and the Centiskorch. Centiskorch one-shots Goldengo, and obviously can also take out Tealmask Ogerpon. Now, the only thing to watch is, of course, this attack does 30 damage to each of your bench Pokemon. And we don't really play a way to heal this, so we need to be very careful about this, especially against certain matchups. And finally, for our attackers, we play the Zoroark line from White Flare, with the Mind Jack attack, which is pretty good in itself, but then Foul Play, which is why that Lokix is so important. We can recycle Ignition Energy in this deck, and it makes this Foul Play even more disgusting. Not only does this insta-KO Gardevoir, but it also deals with a lot of our other matchups as well. Can be really useful into the Pult matchups, so we can hit them with their own Phantom Dive, potentially take out a basic, and even if we don't, we can set up their board. And then we can just do it again with another Zoroark and another Ignition. It's not a big deal. And honestly, it's kind of disgusting to do that. Mind Jack can also scale up against Raging Bolt, and can potentially one-shot a Raging Bolt if they put 8 Pokemon down. And obviously, in that matchup anyway, we can always just go Foul Play into a Tealmask and go from there, really. But honestly, this list has been quite fun to play, in testing at least. Now, we do play a 2-prizer, we do play a Fez, because obviously I'm not playing the Dracloak line, which some people do play, but I think that's just, it's a good draw engine and everything, but I don't really see the value of it when, you're trying to set up multiple Stage 1 attackers. You need to obviously evolve them, and obviously Dracloaks do take up space. So I've just gone with a Fez and Quad Pokégear route, and I think that seems to be the best answer so far. Anyway, let's go to the deck list, and let's have a proper look. And welcome to the deck list. So as you can see, we're mainly focusing on Special Energy for this deck list. And, you know, it's a very good deck list so far. Like, I've had real fun testing this deck. But, obviously, there are a few things that obviously hold this deck back, which, obviously, I don't play a draw engine in here. We're mainly playing Lillies and Pokégears for our draws. Obviously, we do not play the Dracloaks, as I said. I don't think the Dracloaks are, you know, like, they're not the best option to have. But, you know, they take up extra space, you can't really attack with them, and, you know, your opponent can very easily just go for it, and then you don't have a draw engine at all. At least for Pokégears and the Fez. Yes, Fez is a 2-prizer, but, you know, it guarantees you 3 cards. And obviously the Pokégears can potentially find you Lillies, Hildas, Iono, etc. to obviously potentially find some stuff that you need. So obviously, as I said, we're playing a 3-3 Zoroark line. Obviously the Zoroark is really cracked. A 2-2 Nymble Lokix line, a 2-2 Scyther Sizzle line, a 1-1 Sizzlipede Centiskorch line, a 1-1 Charcadet Ceruledge line, and of course the Fez, which is our only 2-prizer. Then 4 Lillies, 3 Hilda, 2 Boss, 1 Iono, 4 Buddy Poffin, 4 Pokégear, 2 Ultra Ball, 2 Super Rod, 1 Counter Catcher, 1 Prime Catcher as our A-Spec, 3 Brave Bangles, 1 Air Balloon, 1 Town Store, 1 Artazon, 4 Luminous Energy, which is really versatile across our attackers, 3 Ignition Energy, 2 Reversal Energy, 1 Basic Dark Energy, and 1 Basic Metal Energy. This has been a really fun list to test, and it has a lot of, you know, lines that it can do. Obviously, in terms of coverage, we have Dark, Grass, Metal, Fire, Psychic. We have a lot of relevant coverage in the format right now, and even where we fall short with no fighting type coverage for like Kangaskhan and stuff, we can use Foul Play and copy the attack with Ignition Energy, and if we get 2 heads, that's a dead Kangaskhan. And obviously, in the likes of, shall we say, Absol, if we hit an Absol and it hits, well, if it has 6 hit or damage counters on it and they don't have a Miss Energy, we can go Ignition Energy, Foul Play, copy Terminal Period, and take 3 prizes. So we have a lot of options, and even then, we have the Lokix plus Brave Bangle angle for that. Even with a Charm and the Lively Stadium, Lokix with a Brave Bangle and an Ignition Energy can easily take out a Mega Absol. Obviously, in terms of the cornerstone answers, pretty much all our attackers don't have abilities, so we're fine in that regard. The only major thing that would be an issue is obviously if we run into a Hero's Cape deck, but hopefully we don't. And even then, we do have coverage into most of the ones that do play those sorts of, shall we say, tech cards and everything. In terms of changes to this list, there isn't really a lot. Obviously, mainly putting in a couple more draw supporters would be a nice idea. Obviously, Hilda's get you evolution plus your energies, and well, mainly your special energies. You're going to be searching with this, but it can grab you the basic dark and a basic lightning. Well, not lightning, the basic metal. So again, there's not really much to change. It's one of those lists that, you know, there is a lot of things that could go into this list, but it's just making the space for it. You could, I've just realised I've clicked off the metal energy there. You could very easily add in stuff like, you know, what's the word? You could very easily add in other draw support. You could add in more Ionos. You could obviously add in maybe another Air Balloon or another Bangle. Maybe another Town Store to replace the Artazon, but then you cut in the Artazon, which I don't really like. You know, you could add in another Ignition Energy, which, to be fair, you could do that, but I cut one for a second reversal. So, you know, there's a lot of, shall we say, opportunities with this list, and honestly, it's a really fun list to play. So, let's get into a match and see how we do. Welcome to the first game. Looking forward to seeing how this deck does. It's a really spicy deck, and, you know, this deck is not meta, not by a country mile. It's one of those decks that, you know, you'd bring to locals, maybe a challenger, a cup, but you wouldn't take this deck to a regional. It's a good deck, but, you know, it does fall short in some areas. Obviously, it relies a lot on Stage 1 attackers. There's no backup attackers that are basics, etc. So, you know, you are sort of, you know, pushing the line, so to speak. That's a really good start, though. The Zorua start is a really good one. Obviously, the Nymbles don't have free retreat, but we can deal with that. This might be Gardevoir anyway. No, this is Alakazam. Okay, we can most definitely deal with this matchup. We'll attach the Luminous to the Zorua, and we will pass. This is definitely a very winnable matchup. As long as they don't play Togekiss, we should be fine. Artazon, that's good for me. We could even take down and take out the Abra if we want to. Which, to be fair, that's not a bad idea. That's generally not a bad idea. Now, they don't typically play two prizes, which is a good thing. They very rarely play the Dunsparce EX, and even if they do, it does no damage in this matchup. Why are you benching that? And why are you playing that now? That is a waste. That was an absolute waste, my friend. Anyway, let's not worry about my opponent's questionable resource management. We're just going to grab another Zorua. And whilst we're at it, we'll have a quick prize check. So we've not prized Charcadet. We've not prized anything too big. Have we prized the Ceruledge? No, the Ceruledge isn't going to be relevant here anyway. No Lilies. We've got one Ultra Ball in hand, so that's fine. I really wish they'd fix this Terror Bug thingy-mabob. We've prized the... Well, we've got one Luminous now in the discard pile, but other than that, we've only got an Ignition in the prize cards. I'll take that. That's pretty good. So we'll go Hilda, we'll grab ourselves the Zoroark, and we will grab... do I want to grab the Metal Energy? Nah, I'll just take a Luminous. So I'm going to Ultra Ball away the Super Rod and the Dark Energy, because we can just recycle these. I'm going to grab myself, because they don't really have abilities, so I don't think the Sizzle is going to be too relevant here. I'm just going to grab another Zorua, I'll be brutally honest. I think that's the correct answer. I could grab Charcadet, but again, that doesn't really make much sense. So yeah, I'm just going to grab another Zorua. So we'll do that. We'll evolve the active. Luminous Energy. And Mind Jack. Take out the Abra. As long as we can keep up chaining attackers and they don't put down the Togekiss, this matchup will be a cakewalk. We just need to make sure we resource manage. But other than that, this matchup is not too bad for us. Like, we can thin with the Artazon, we can thin with the Buddy Poffin, you know, like, we have a lot of options here. Still something, I guess. So there's that. Let's see what he does. He's got the energy. Buddy Poffin. Something tells me he is whiffed on the attack. There's the Togepi. If that's seriously your board state, you are just asking to be Prime Catchered. And even then I have Boss, so, you know. Lilies. Okay. He could still get it. He could still get Red Candy Alakazam. His board state is shocking, though. Great Ball. This is not a board state you want at all. I don't know what my opponent's doing here, but, well, I guess, you know, he's got to do something. Like I said, the main threat to us is the Togepi, but I'm not too worried about that. Psychic Draw. Draw 2. That's fine. I could boss the Togepi, but I'd rather take out the Kadabra, because then he doesn't have anything. He's retreating. That's fine. That's completely fine with me, mate. I will just boss that. Obviously, I'll Buddy Poffin to thin my deck first, and then we will boss, but, you know. As long as we keep up the attacks, we're not going to be the major difficulty here. Obviously, there is benefit to play the Dracloak engine, but so far I've not really needed it. Wondrous Patch, that's fine. Because that's going down anyway. And just a pass, that's fine. Well, we can bench the Nymble, because 150 is a good number to be hitting in this matchup. So we'll Buddy Poffin. I am actually going to grab a Scyther. I think it makes sense to. I'm just going to boss the Kadabra. Mind Jack for 300. Because of Dark Meatness. Nice easy prize card, and we are now ahead by quite a significant margin. And obviously we can prime, use the Scyther's free retreat, so if he puts down another Abra, we can just prime it. It's not a big deal. And yep, there's the Abra, so we can just prime it, go into the Scyther, free retreat, take it out with Zoroark. We don't need to do much else here. If we top deck, like, I don't know, Lilies, we can go prime into Scyther, Lilies, and then obviously deal with the Abra in the active. But Like I said, I really don't get why he's put down a Psyduck. You have no evidence of me playing, you know, Dusknoir. Yes, this is a Stage 1 box deck, but they don't want to be giving prize cards up. You know, like, I need to put Pokemon down that I know can serve me well in this matchup. States, but seriously, mate, you need to put down more Abras. I'm being serious now. Boss, that's not a problem. I have Prime in hand, so you know, you can use your support for turn if you like. I don't really care. Bring up the Nymble. That is fine, because I will just Prime your Abra. And that is a pass. That is fine. There's Luminous. We can attach it to... We could actually do it with a Zorua, but no. We're just going to Prime the Abra. Go into the Zoroark. And Mind Jack. I don't need to do much else. You know, like... There's no sugarcoating it. I don't need to do a whole lot else. There's Ignition. That could be relevant. We could obviously foul play copy the Fez if it comes to it. If he parks the Fez in front of us. So, this could still be bad for him. I don't know why he's still playing. Like, you're 3 prizes down. The only way you win here is if you set up next turn and you go... well, obviously Candy into everything, but... Again, I don't know why you're grabbing the Togekiss. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because again, I could just Ignition, copy Speedwing and take this out. So, you know, I can take this out. There's the Dunsparce, that's fine. Tulip. So he's actually getting multiple down now. He's learnt the lesson, it seems. That's at least something. I'd love to play I should really put Zerosic in this deck, but you don't need to, genuinely. Runaway draw. That's fine. Counter Catcher. I have Ignition in hand, so it's not a big deal. You know, if I top deck Lokix, this thing is dying. Go on, put another basic down. Good lad, that's what I want. Because now I can just retreat this into Zoroark. But if we top deck the Lokix, I'm attacking with Lokix. I might as well. And then I'll just go into the other Nymble. But no, this is just, you know, this is just how, you know, Alakazam can be if you're playing it right. We get the Scizor, that's pretty good, but we don't need to. We're just going to attach. We're going to retreat into the Zoroark. I'm not going to evolve the Scizor, I think that's bait. And then Mind Jack for 150. Take out the Togekiss. Go down to 2 prize cards. So now there is literally no way for this opponent to win this game. Literally no way. The only way they'd win is if they somehow stopped all my attackers and they, you know, they managed to get Togekiss back online. But even then, by the time they've done that, I only need 1 prize card. I've not even seen any evidence of an Ace Spec either, so I don't even know what they're playing. There's the Candy, so they do have the attack. They're actually attacking this turn. But no, I don't get what my opponent's been playing at, genuinely. I mean, you're putting down 2 prizes in a matchup where you don't need 2 prizes. Like, yeah, the Fez is nice draw and everything, but what if I gusted it? Battle Cage, not relevant. That's fine. Battle Cage is literally not relevant here. So, prevent all damage counters being placed on bench Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's by effective attacks. So, again, this does literally nothing. Powerful hand, take out the Zoro. That is fine, my boy. Guess what? I have an attacker. Yeah, generally I don't know what my opponent's been playing at, but, well, I don't make the rules, do I? So we'll just go into the Zoroark. And Mind Jack. Weakness is a beautiful thing. And even though we don't need it, because he's put enough down. Take a prize card. There's a Bangle. That could be pretty useful. We've not really seen any Pokégears or draw support. Like, we've not even seen many of our stage 1s either. We've only seen the ones that aren't too important. There's the Alakazam. Even then, I can literally just let this guy sit here and start taking prize cards. I I'm not worried at all. Genuinely, I'm not worried. It's like, because we took the prize lead so early and we took out the Togekiss, but, you know, this is just not looking good for my opponent. He's drawn 20 cards. We're not hand disrupting him, because eventually he's going to deck himself out. And I will watch him. I will let him. There's Tulip. So we can at least get another Abra down, but that's not going to be too relevant. Yeah, I don't know what my opponent playing at. I mean, they've been slow playing as well. This deck doesn't have many actions. 23 cards in hand. And it's still not going to matter. Unless you, like, shuffle your cards back in, it's not going to matter. And I am not playing Iono. If you deck out, that's your decision, my friend. Powerful hand, 420. That's fine. We don't need a huge amount here. We literally just need, you know, low kicks and we win. But if we don't, I'm not hugely worried. And speaking of the and it shall appear, there is the low kicks. Evolve into the low kicks. Attach Ignition. We retreat into the low kicks. And we will jumping shot for game. I was not worried whatsoever in that matchup. I have to promote there, so I'm not BMing. I have to promote. And there's the Fez at the prizes. I had to promote there, unfortunately. That's just the way the attack works. But no, that was a really easy game. I almost fell asleep during that, I'll be honest. It was not a particularly difficult matchup. Anyway, let's go to game 2. Welcome back to game 2. That was pretty smooth. Obviously, we did break quite a bit, but, well, we just saw no draw support. We don't even see any relevant stage 1s. And, like, the cards that I cut to add in, you know, things like the low kicks and stuff like that, they were Dreepy slash Decloaked. If they were Dreepy slash Decloaked, we didn't see them. Let's put it that way. But no, that was pretty smooth. I'm pretty happy with how that went. Let's go first. But yeah, like I said, that's just what happens against a single prize versus single prize. If you're taking the first prizes, you're fine. Generally, you're fine. It's not that big of a deal. So we started Charcadet, not one of the better starters in the deck, and that is a Hop Snorlax. So we do play Fire-type coverage, so that's something to bear in mind. However, it is not Poffin searchable. And there it is. So that's just something to bear in mind. Now, they do play a decent number of abilities, so this could be useful. So we'll grab the Scyther and the Zorua. We'll then Buddy Poffin again. We'll grab another Zorua, and the Nymble's not too relevant here, so I'm just going to grab another Scyther. Because they may attack the Charcadet turn 1, I'm going to attach the Zorua and pass. So one advantage we do have in this matchup is we can go Hilda for Ignition Energy plus the Zoroark, and if they put the Zacian in the active, we can copy Brave Slash. Which, if you don't know what that attack does, there it is, 240 damage. Now during our next turn we won't be able to use it, but that's not a problem. If we're taking 2 prize cards, we are golden. I'm not worried about this at all. And like I say, we can always just go Hilda for evolutions and just start setting up our board. Even then, I may just go evolve one of these guys into Scizor and then just Lilies. I don't need to worry. Why are you... Okay. If you really want to do it that way, mate, your decision. Techno Radar, so that means they're playing the Valiants. That's fine. Hop's Bag. The Valiants are a bit of a threat, but we can deal with them. They're metal weak, yeah, so Scizor can deal with them. That's fine. So you can take a prize here with Insta Strike, but again, Zoroark Ignition Energy, I literally don't care. And yep, he's gonna ping the Zorua with the Luminous on it. So we're gonna promote the one with the no thingamabob on it, because we could save this for later. We don't need to use it now. Alright, let's play the Hilda. We will grab ourselves a Zoroark and a Ignition Energy. Evolve. Evolve. And now time to give you a very bad day at the office. Foul play. Copy Brave Slash. Goodbye, Zacian. I bet you wasn't expecting that, my friend. There's one of our Zoroarks out of prizes. Good. That's what we like. And obviously Ignition disguises itself at the end of the turn. Again, case in point, read the card. You'll be surprised the amount of attacks you can actually copy with this. So we can't take out Valiant, but obviously Scizor can. So Scizor can deal with that. Right now, Scizor KOs this because it's only 2 abilities. Well, we only need 2 abilities in play. Is he going to counter catcher here? Because if he does, that could be a bit of an issue. He's attaching to the Snorlax with a Mist Energy, which is fine. He could counter catcher, but that doesn't really get him anywhere. Like, you know, he could take out the Zorua on the bench, but that wouldn't really be a big concern to me. We don't need reversals in this matchup. Like, we're not going to go behind on prizes. The single prize Snorlax is obviously a threat, but I can just let it KO itself. Okay, he's going into the Valiant. I know what he's doing here. He's going to ping... no? What are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Insta strike, yep, okay. Okay, I mean, yeah. That works, I guess. But if I find Ignition Energy, I'm just going to kill this dude again. Alright, so let's evolve you. In fact, no, I could just take this out with, well, no, I'm a bit short with, in fact, no, am I? 160, yeah, I'm short with, Scizor. So, I'm just going to thin these, in fact, no, I'm going to get rid of the Bangle. It's not going to be too relevant. I can grab Fez, because realistically, the only way he's attacking was Snorlax, and that's fine, I can deal with that. Fez for 3, so that way I get more decision to make. Hilda's really good. Hilda means to take out the station. So that's good. We will do that. So I'll take the Scizor, and I'll take an Ignition. We're just going to do the exact same thing again, but this time we are going to do it with the one with the Luminous Energy, because obviously this one's in threat of going down. So we'll do that. Evolve the Scizor. And Foul Play. And since he reset our ability, well, the effect of the attack, we can use it again. That's another 2 prize cards. So for those that don't know, in case you obviously don't know, because not many people particularly know this ruling. So obviously in the case of the Zacian, during your next turn this Pokemon can use Brave Slash. We obviously copied it with the effect of Zoroark. So Zoroark now cannot use, because I'll show it here, it cannot use its attack Brave Slash. So we can't copy the Zacian again, essentially. That's the whole point of that. We can't copy the Zacian. That's what that basically means. And well, we have game here anyway with Scizor. If he doesn't hand disrupt us, which he's played Arven for turn, unless he plays what is it? Unfair Stamp, which I heavily doubt, we have game with Scizor. Scizor plus Prime Catcher. Because we just go Prime into the Valiant and then that's it. He's got the Prime this time though. He's going for the Fez. He doesn't see the Scizor threat. That is fine. You're more than welcome to do that, my friend. If you retreat back into the Snorlax, unless he has Counter Catcher, nope, that's game. And even then, you don't even have the knockout. Oh dear. Well, too bad. Prime Catcher, Valiant. Bring up the Scizor. Attach the Metal Energy. Punishing Scissors. Take out the Valiant. Was not worried about that matchup at all. That was easy. Interesting archetype, but yeah, you need to manage your jet energy count, mate, because, you know, you could have made that a lot easier on yourself. Anyway, let's go to game 3. And welcome back to game 3. That was a really smooth game. Like, again, I was not worried, because obviously we had a single prize board state. Snorlax didn't even take out the Fez, so I was not worried in the slightest. But yeah, that was pretty smooth, not gonna lie. Obviously, the Alakazam match was a little bit slow. Well, not helped by him slow playing, but, you know, that felt pretty smooth in that matchup. We had the Zoroarks to copy Brave Slash. We didn't need to worry at all. We're starting to Scyther, that's fine. Although we don't have any other basics, which is a concern. Gotta hope this ain't some sort of donk deck. It's Dragapult. Okay. That is not a useful energy. I'm just going to attach here and pass. I'll attach the Bangle and pass. Not much I can do. There's no point in me putting the Dark Energy on here. So, obviously for Psychic decks, well, Dragon decks, we don't really play a huge amount of coverage for that, but, you know, we can potentially do something. It's not a major deal. But obviously, in this case, you can just go into Badoo and item lock. Which is exactly what he's doing, because I'm just going to Lillies for turn. Unless I top deck Metal Energy, you know, and there's the Lillies on their end. This is quite a rough matchup. This is quite... Oh, he's got the Ghost as well. Yeah, this is an auto loss. And he's got the Jamming Tower. Yeah, this is 100% auto loss. Like, you've got the Ghost, you've got the Jamming Tower, like, bro. Okay, well, that's not particularly useful. We're just going to Lillies for 8. And we whiff. Whoa. So if they have Candy... You know what? Let's do it for the content. Fear Retreat, into the Nymble. We will rear kick for 20 and assert dominance. Yeah. Yeah, we're totally losing this game, but I don't care. This is a really bad start. Obviously, this is where like a Dracloak draw engine would be useful, but, well, short answer is we can't really do anything. So, yeah, I'm going to wish one of my friends happy birthday on Facebook whilst I get slaughtered by Polt. So, why not? Oh, he's actually attacked. That's fine then. We're going to die anyway next turn, but, you know. There's Charcadet. We could technically save ourselves from being donked by a frickin' Polt. But, yeah. I mean, we'll just bench it anyway. We can grab... I mean, we could Ignition and do that. But I don't think it's really relevant. I think we just play it safe and grab the Sizzle, and we grab a Luminous. I think we just play it safe. And then we will rear kick for 20 and take a prize card. I never thought I'd be saying that on the channel, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. To be fair, we did take a prize card with Chikorita once, so, you know. Yeah, I'm gonna continue wishing happy birthday to one of my friends. So yeah. Celebrate. There we go. That's that done. We're gonna get wiped out by this Polt, but to be brutally honest, I don't care. This is an auto loss pretty much. I mean, like I said, they have the Jamming Towers, they have the Ghosts, you know. If he gets... Does he have the Ghosts? Because if he has Clops, he wins this game. I'm pretty certain. He just needs Gust for this Scizor and then he can win. No, he's going to Curse Blast the Charcadet. Makes sense. Now you just need Counter Catcher and you win. Because you have exact damage counters. You just need Counter Catcher and you win, mate. Or a way to Gust in any way, shape or form. Recon. He could find it still. He's still got a bit of draw left. Does he see the line or does he not have it? He doesn't have it, that's fine. Either way, this is an auto loss pretty much, because like I say, Jamming Tower, he's got the Ghost, you know. But hey, I got to rear kick and take a knockout, I'll take it, you know. Bring up the Scizor, which obviously the Jamming Tower's in effect, so that doesn't really do anything for us. I could put down the Sizzlipede, but to be brutally honest, I don't give a monkeys. So how much damage are we actually doing? We're doing 110, so we can't even take out the Latias. I could prime the Dracloak and just take another prize card. And then Buddy Poffin, but first I'm going to Super Rod. Recycle these boys. We're not going to be putting Nymbles down at this point anyway. So So we'll Buddy Poffin, grab a Zorua and a Psychic. Well, not a Psychic. Scyther. I can bench the Sizzlipede as well. We can then Hilda. We might as well threaten it, I guess. We'll grab the Zoroark plus... Actually, no. Ignition's better, because we can copy Phantom Dive. And then we will prime the Decloak. Go into the Scyther. Fury Retreat. Into the Scyther. And Scissors for 110. We're at least putting up a fight, but, you know, this is not looking good for us, Chief. Let's put it that way. But I expected this to be pretty much an auto loss anyway. Like, the best thing we can do right now is, if he takes 2 prizes this turn, we can go into Zorua, evolve it to Zoroark, counter catch the Latias, and copy Eon Blade. That could be an option. Or he might be taking... I think he's taking 2 prizes this turn. If he takes that Zorua, we can't do that. So we've got to kind of hope... Oh, he's got the whole Lucha. Nah. Of course he's got the whole Lucha. He's going to go for Cypher and Zorua. Yep. Well, that's just changed things, hasn't it, folks? If he keeps the Zorua alive, we could be, you know, able to fight... But never mind. That's an Iono. Oh, well, at least I'm putting up a fight, you know. I'm not going down without a fight. So that's at least something. He's getting down another Ghost. He can Ghost now, but obviously there is a risk of me winning the game if he does that. But if he takes out Zorua, which he is going to, yeah. So we do go down to 2 prize cards. There's a Scizor. He's 1 damage counter short. On the Zorua, well, on the Scyther, because he's going to put 5 here, 1 here. Yeah, okay. We could still actually win this, but it's going to need a miracle. He hasn't put enough abilities down for us to actually do anything. There's Centiskorch. I can do that. I can do that as well. I can hit this. But it doesn't really benefit me. But what choice do I have? Punch and Scissors 110. We literally can't win from here. There's no way we win. The way in which he wins, however, is boss the Centiskorch, blow up a Ghost, and then that's it. Because he just ghosts the Scizor. So, yeah. This is not good. I mean, I've put up a fight. I've got myself down to 2 prize cards in what I thought was an auto loss, you know? The only way in which we win now... Is there actually a way we win? There is, actually. But we'd have to rely on him not taking a prize card, which, spoiler alert, he's about to take one. The only way in which we'd have won is if we had Zorua on the bench. So, yeah, we can't really win from here. But we've put up a decent fight, I think. You know, like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We've put up a decent fight. Yeah, that's it. That's game. Let's go to the outro and what I thought of the deck. Because, well, that... I mean, in fairness, I took a prize with Nymble, and we took multiple prize cards. I can't complain, but no, that is a horrible matchup for us. So... what did I think to the deck? This is definitely a really fun deck. I think the Decloak line could be worth putting in because, you know, it's usable to an extent. Plus, you could also play mind games and make people think you're playing Pult in there, so I guess that's something. But other than that, this list felt really fun, you know, like, it has relevant typing into most things. Obviously, Dragapult is just really rough anyway. Obviously, we could have potentially won if he'd have left the Zorua alive, but he played it smart and took out the Zorua when he could. Because we could have forced him to, you know... Well, we could have hit with the Zorua, then hit with Cypher/Scizor, and we could have had game on the Pult by just, you know, copying Phantom Dive first, damaging the... Well, taking out the Duskull on the bench, and then obviously using Scizor with a Bangle. But it just didn't come up. But... ultimately, I don't think a lot needs to change about this list. Like, playing the Ceruledge for Lucario is pretty relevant on PTCG Live, but if you was to play this deck in person, I don't think you need it. But honestly, I've really enjoyed playing this deck. You know, it's not the most consistent deck, because obviously, you know, it's never going to be. It relies on stage 1 as its attack force. But, you know, it covers relevant matchups, it covers pretty good into most decks anyway, and it hits pretty good, you know, like, it has a lot of lines that you wouldn't expect. And like I said in the Hopzation game, Ignition Energy for foul play is just so disgusting when you get it going. And our opponent didn't really think about that, and, you know, we was able to use Brave Slash twice, and then we just, you know, we primed for game. It wasn't that difficult. But yeah, I did enjoy this deck. I do think a couple of changes are warranted. I don't think you need the Ceruledge unless you're, like, really wanting to take out Lucario. And maybe the Cloak line could be worth considering, but yeah. Otherwise, just play more draw support, genuinely. Like, take out the Ceruledge line, just put in more draw support, you know, it'd be really useful to have it. You could also, to not, like, sabotage you so much, you could play Judges instead of Ionos, which could be a good idea, but again, that's down to your discretion. And that's why the deck list is in the description for you, in case you wish to use it. Anyway, we'll leave it all to it for today. Really hope you enjoyed seeing Stage 1 box in action, and I'll see you next time.